Now that we have established the framework for reading and writing within Literacy Squared and how to gather information for instruction through observation, the focus will be on how to teach letter-sound relationship and word work into Literacy Squared lessons. The goal for this section of the webinar is to show concrete examples of word work activities within a Literacy Squared lesson. As we explain each activity, you will see a logo that signals the type of word work each example represents. The three-piece puzzle represents logographic, the two-piece puzzle represents orthographic, and the one-piece puzzle represents alphabetic. This intends to give you a better idea of how examples of the three types of word work look like in a lesson. For the Spanish literacy lesson, we are using the book No me asustó a mí, and for the literacy-based ELD lesson, we will use the book Brown Bear, What Do You See? These books share the themes of animals and colors and the style of pattern writing that facilitate cross-language connections. The book used for Spanish literacy is No me asustó a mí, and it follows the pattern of the little boy looking out the window and seeing different colored animals and not being scared. Una noche negra, mamá me acostó. Apagadas las luces, mamá me dejó. Miré por la ventana y qué cosa vi, un oso azul sentado allí. Pero ese oso azul no me asustó a mí. The book can be introduced through modeled or shared reading first, to emphasize that the text should be meaningful and word work activities are within context for students. Remember that word work activities should follow the Literacy Squared gradual release of responsibilities approach. Begin by modeling the activities and move towards shared and collaborative by providing scaffolds and plenty of opportunity for students to practice before reaching independent work. This is a logographic example, since it draws attention to words as a whole. To begin this activity, the teacher can model and make observations regarding the length of words from the text, the colors or animals, for example. The teacher can begin by saying the words orally first and have the students notice which ones are longer and shorter. For example, saying the words anaranjado and azul, and having students say what they notice, such as number of syllables. Then, by pointing to the text and again saying the words, the students begin to make connections between oral and written language. This will also help students with sight recognition of those words. And you can continue to focus on the differences of length of the words by looking at the text and focusing on how the students know one word is longer than the other. A class chart can be used to keep a list of the words, and an interactive idea is to model the use of word lenses, shown in the picture, and have students use them to interact with the text to find long and short words to add to the class chart. This can be done first as a whole group, then in a collaborative approach, finally in an individual approach. This is an orthographic example that focuses on finding smaller words within words. It draws attention to smaller parts of a word that have meaning. And for example, you can begin by rereading the word noche and think aloud how you notice there is a smaller word you can see within that word. The word no is a common sight word and can serve as a good example to begin modeling this activity. Making a list together and highlighting the words with a different color can be a helpful visual. A variation that can be tried after students have several opportunities to practice is to think of other words that have the smaller word in them. To continue with the example of the word noche and the smaller side word no, a list can be created of other words that have the word no in them. For example, nopal, norma, novio, ganó, plano, etc. This is another orthographic example that will help students with syllables that are blends of two consonants and a vowel, or sílabas compuestas. You can ask the students to look at the words tigre and negra and see if they see something they have in common. They can divide them orally into syllables to make the connection to how they sound. Tigre, negra. Then to explicitly teach these type of blends, you can cut out cards of the syllables with the blends to be used as practice as a whole group. Students can write words in their notebook and use a colored pencil to underline the syllable with the blends. A chart can also be kept in the classroom after this word work activity to let students add words as they recognize them in other texts. It is important to remember to always return to the text for meaning context after using this type of activities. This is an alphabetic example that focuses on the beginning sounds of words. The objective is for students to recognize the beginning sound of a word, and in this example it is the beginning syllable to emphasize the syllabic nature of the Spanish language. The teacher can write the word and as a group discuss the sound to letter correspondence and model oral and written analysis. Questions that can guide this process could be: ¿Cómo empieza la palabra luces? ¿Y la palabra luna? ¿Se podrá escribir luces con las primeras letras que tiene luna? ¿Por qué sí o por qué no? The teacher can begin a list on the board and write the words that students say, and if a student says a word that doesn't start the same way, it should still be written on the list, and then ask the children if it looks and sounds the same as the other words on the list. This is an opportunity for explicit teaching. A following step is to create same type of lists with beginning sound or syllable as students' names, for example. For a collaborative activity, a team of students receives a card with a syllable and creates a poster with words they generated and the corresponding illustrations. An independent activity can be to have students create a poster individually with words that begin the same way as their name. The words students generate with their names can be used to write sentences and create an illustrated big book of the class names.